Video, we're going to go over an intro to graphing in SPSS. So this data is about baby weight, so we're going to go click on the variable view, and this will tell us what each of our variables mean. So if we look at these labels here, we can see that we have head circumference at birth, length of the baby, weight, gestational age at birth, smoker, age of mother, and all of these different things. So this data set was to compare the baby weights depending on if the mother smoked or not, and then there's different things talking about the father's age, father's education, and father smoking too. So we have all of these different variables, and what we're going to do is we're going to create some graphs from this information. So if we look over here, this will tell us what type of data we have. So we can see these are all of our scale variables. These ones are numerical, and the nominal ones are not numerical. So for this one, it would be, you can see our values are non-smoker, smoker. For this one, is it a low birth weight? No, or yes. So those what those are. So we'll go back to our data view now that we've looked at our variables. And what we're going to do is first we're going to create a frequency table. So to do that, you're going to go into Analyze. Most of the things you're going to be using are Analyze and Graphs. So first Analyze, we're going to do Descriptive Statistics, and then you're going to click on Frequencies. And then you're just going to choose which variable you want. So I'm going to choose the weight of the baby. You can do any of these numerical ones. So we're going to do weight of the baby. And then you're just going to click OK, and that's going to give you your frequency table. So it tells you on the left, these are all of the different baby weights. This second column tells you how many of each there were. So there were 3 that were 7 pounds. Then it tells you the percent, and then it tells you this cumulative percent is adding all of these percents together, so we can say, okay, there were 38.1% less than 6.9 pounds. So that's what that does, is it just adds up all of the percents. So that is your frequency table. So after a frequency table, we're going to create some graphs here. So I'm going to go into Graphs, and then Legacy Dialogues, and the first one we're going to create is a bar graph. So I'm just going to do a simple one to start off with. And let's compare the number of I already have smoker in here. Smoker will start over here for you. So I'm just going to drag smoker over to the category because we want to compare, see how many smokers there were and how many non-smokers there were. So if you press OK, this will give you a bar graph. So we can see there are about 20 non-smokers, around 22 smokers. If you want to get the exact numbers, if you double click on this, we can add some elements to the graph. I like to show the data labels, especially at first, just so we can see. So this one has 20, this one has 22. If you want to see the percents, you can. If you drag the percents up here, press apply, and that'll tell you what percent each of these are. So that's just helpful if you can't trace it over and see, gives you the data labels. All right, so that is our bar graph. You can also create side-by-side bar graphs. So if you go back into our legacy dialogues and click on bar again, we're going to do a clustered one. So for these clustered ones, what we're going to do is, say you want to see the difference in smokers based on the low birth weights. So if we want to see, okay, we have our smokers and we want to see how many of them had low, how many didn't have low. We're going to put the smokers in the category and define our clusters by low birth weight. Then you're going to press OK. And you can see that our non-smokers mostly did not have low birth weights. Smokers, there was a much larger portion of those that did have low baby birth weights. So you can use those to compare. So whenever you're comparing two different things, it's good to use the side-by-side, or the cluster bar graphs. If you want to create a pie graph, you can go back into our legacy dialogues and go to pie. And say, again, we want to look at our smokers. You just drag the smokers into our slices. That'll give you, each slice will be non-smoker and smoker. And then we're going to press OK. And you can see here is our graph. And again, it's good to go into the elements by double clicking on the graph, show data labels. And I like to see the percents for these. So drag your percent over, press apply, and you can see 52% and 47%. So smokers 52%, non-smokers are 47%. And that's how you create the pie chart. So those are our categorical ones. To create a histogram, what you're going to do is you're going to go again into our graphs, legacy dialog, and now we're going to do a histogram. So these histograms, these are the ones you use for numerical. So for categorical, you can do bar and pie chart. For our numerical ones, we're going to do histograms. So you can check the weight of the baby, you could do the length, head circumference, whichever one you want to do. I'm going to start with the weight here. Then you just press OK, and that'll give us a histogram. This lets us see the distribution of the data. So you can see it's normally distributed, pretty good bell shape, lets you see where most of the values lie. So you can see most of the babies were about 7 pounds, between, I don't know, 6 and 8 to 9 pounds. So that is our histogram. And the last type of graph I want to make is a box plot. So again, graphs, legacy dialogues, box plots. And box plots really let you see, compare numerical data. So what we're going to do is just leave this simple, press define. And say we want to look at the baby weights and compare them between smokers and non-smokers. You'll put the category into the category axis. That's what we're comparing, smokers versus non-smokers. And what are we comparing? We're comparing the weights of the babies between smokers and non-smokers. So we're going to press OK. And this one really lets you see the differences between the two groups. So you can see that the non-smokers have much higher weights here. So you can see the lowest weight was just under 6. While if we look at the smokers' baby weights, they have really low ones here. The median is lower. Our first quartile here is very low at 6. So this really lets you compare between two groups. So box plots and histograms for our numerical data, and then we had our bar graphs and pie charts for our categorical data. And that's how you graph in SPSS.